Hello everyone, how are you? In this video we will talk about DNS and the remote desktop. DNS, domain name system, and remote desktop, I mean how we can access the server from the client. So the first thing, what's the DNS, domain name system? DNS is a service in the server. What I mean by service, we say the server is a computer that provide a services to the client in the network, right? So the DNS is one of the services that server provide to the client. So our server in the first lecture and second lecture we talk about domain controller. Our server serve as domain controller, and also the server can serve as file sharing or sharing file. Now the DNS, what's the DNS? DNS, domain name system, is a service to mapping between the IP address and domain name, or we can say to resolve domain name to IP address, or to convert domain name to the IP address. But I think the best description for the DNS is the mapping, that the service that mapping between the domain name and IP address. Why I said mapping? DNS is like a table, like a record, like this for example, and the IP address, and so on. So it is mapping. When I say mapping, like this, when I write or type the lab.com, make a map or connect between it and to the IP address, make a mapping or map between the domain name and IP address, not convert, because this is like a table. When I write lab.com, just go to the server, for example here, from the client, and I want to connect to the server, and for example make a ping. So now like this, I want a service, I want just type lab.com here, and go to the DNS server, and DNS server mapping to the IP address. Now go here by using the IP address, and so on, like this. This work like this. The client ask that go to the type lab.com and go to the DNS server and say what's the lab.com. DNS server ask yes, lab.com, the IP address 192.168 and so on. So go to the lab.com to this work. So it's just to map the IP address to map the domain name to the IP address. Now here you can see in the server, I have here IDDS, the domain controller and Active Directory, and DHCP and DNS and file service and many things. Just the server serve as domain controller and DHCP server and DNS. You remember when we add the IP address from here, we also add the DNS for the server. And go to the change adapter setting, right click, here you should add the administrator, go to the IP4 version 4. Now you can see here the DNS, I add the DNS or the IP address for the server. If you go to the server, you can see this IP address for the server, because this server serve as DNS server. This IP address. Now you can see if I go to the CMD command line, open the command line, and I try to make a ping to the server, ping to the lab.com. I said the devices in the network, the computer not understand what's the lab.com, just understand the IP address. So now lab.com, the server name or domain lab.com, but also I have IP address. The lab.com is a domain name for the domain controller. Now I want to resolve it to the IP address. When I say ping to the lab.com, I need the server to map lab.com to the IP address, right? So now I have a DNS server here. My client connect with the DNS server, this server. So I can the server will resolve or will map the IP address lab.com, go to the DNS server and ask what's the IP address for the lab.com, say this IP address, and now I can access the server. So now in the client lab.com, it will work. If you just OK, just enter. Now you can see reply from the server because I have DNS server. Now if I delete the DNS server, and you can see, okay, now you can see after restart the computer, after restart the client and delete the DNS, now there is no DNS server. And if we try make a ping to the lab.com, and you can see ping request could not find host lab.com because there is no DNS server and the computers and devices cannot understand what's the lab.com, cannot understand the domain. Even the internet in the browser, when we write google.com, cnn.com or whatever, the computers, the network, the internet cannot understand what's the domain.com, what's the google.com, what's the lab.com. Just understand the IP. So you should have a DNS server to map between the IP address or convert the lab.com or convert the domain name to the IP address. Like this here, as I explained before. Now I just type lab.com. The client go and he want a server. He want a DNS server. But there is no DNS server. So just ask me. Just say here, I cannot find the lab.com. What's the lab.com? Now also here, if you make you can see, if I make a ping to the 192, 168, 4 and 200, the IP address of the server, now I can see reply because can understand the IP but cannot understand what's the lab.com. Now if I add the DNS 200, now I add the IP address or the DNS. The DNS is the IP address of the server, this server. Now after that, just OK. And OK, now I have DNS. Now again, lab.com. Now there is a reply from the server because just say lab.com, go to the DNS server and say there is this IP address, and then go to the server and make a ping. Right? I hope you understand that. Also we'll talk about the remote desktop, how we can access the server but from the client. Why we need that? For example, if our server or our network is connected with the internet, the administrator can access the server, can work with the server from the home or from anywhere, from the mobile, if you just have a connection to the server by remote desktop. In the client can work from anywhere, from his car, from his home, or anywhere. Remote desktop from remote or from client. The first thing you should go to the server from local server, and here just enable the remote desktop. Just click here and allow remote connection to this computer, and OK. Now from the Windows 7 or the client, just go to just type remote desktop, remote. You can see remote desktop connection. Now here I can type the IP address for the server, or now I have DNS, so I can add just lab.com because I have DNS. Now connect. Now I should connect or access the server with the username and password for administrator, not for Ali. because Ali cannot have permission to access the server. Not anyone can access the server, just the administrator. So just from here, and CSD Jihan 2020 and OK. Now just yes here, click yes. Now you can see I am in the Windows 7 now. I can see the server right here. Also I can do anything I want from tools. I can access the Active Directory user and computer. I can add group policy or anything from here. Also if you go to the server, you can see log out from the server. I cannot access the server from the server locally and in the same time from remote desktop. So just log out from the server. If you want to go out now, just from here you can see lab.com. I am in the lab.com. Just click here and OK. Now I go out and return to the client. Now you can access the server from the locally. I hope it is useful. Thank you very much.